Thank you for tuning in to this asdesigns Dreamweaver tutorial. Get more tutorials at www.as-designs.org/tutorials. Now, the first thing to start a website is the planning and organization of your site. Dreamweaver makes this incredibly easy and helps to make it so uploading your site to a server is hassle-free. You could just start opening new pages and creating them and saving them, but very quickly you would notice that you have a mess on your hands. Now, the structure of a site starts at the root folder that contains all the files and folders that make up your website. You may have more folders inside this root folder that hold your assets, such as images for your website, but you can also create more structure for your website within Dreamweaver while you are creating the web pages. Now, the first step in Dreamweaver should always be to define a site. Defining a site lets Dreamweaver know where your files are located. It also allows Dreamweaver to manage and control those files. Now, without defining a site, Dreamweaver won't be able to follow links or add different types of functionality to your pages. Defining a site will also tell Dreamweaver where you want to upload the files when you go live online. So let's define our site. There are a couple ways to actually define the site within Dreamweaver. Up at the top, at the sidebar, on the site pull down, you'll see New Site. You can click there. There's also on the welcome screen here in the middle of the page, you can also go to the Dreamweaver site right here, and that will also pull up the same window. So I'm actually going to click on that right now, and it's going to pull up our window for site definition. Now, you can go advanced, that will give you a few more options, but I'm going to actually walk you through the basic site definition, which is more of a wizard style of, it'll kind of walk you through it a little bit easier. So the first thing is, what would you like to name your site? I'm going to name the site Tutorial. And then what is the HTTP address or the URL of your website? Since I don't know that right now, I'm just going to actually leave it blank. It's an optional part of this. Now you'll notice that somewhere on my desktop or within my documents folder or website folder, I have my root folder made. And that root folder I actually have here on my desktop. If you look at it right over here to tutorial, I always make that actual folder before I start my site definition. That way it's easy to select later on, and I'll show you that here in a second. So then I'm going to click Next. And do you want to work with the server technologies such as Cold Fusion, ASP.NET, ASP, JSP, or PHP? I'm just going to say at this part in the time, we don't need to. Because this is not a dynamic site. And how would you like to work with your files during development? I'm going to say we want to work on it directly on our machine, not on a server or a local network. So you click on the top one, it should already be selected for you. And then where on your computer do you want to store the files? And that's where you're going to go in and click the little folder over here and select that tutorial folder. So I'm going to go to my desktop and select the tutorial folder that I made just for my website. And then everything that you make inside of Dreamweaver will go inside that root folder, and that's exactly what we want. So I'm going to say choose and go next. And how do you connect to your remote server? If you have your information from your hosting company or IT department, you can put that in through like your FP or RDS or WebDAV. But I'm going to select none because it's an optional thing, and I really don't have any of that information right now because we're going to go and upload it live online later on. So I'm going to click Next after I've selected none. And then it's going to give me a kind of a summary of the definition of my site and where it's located, the name of the site, and all the other information. It says I'll set this up later, which we'll do later. So we're going to click Done. And then once you do that, you're going to notice on the sidebar in the Files section, you're going to see I had two actual files inside my site. Now, it's really important that after defining your site, you must do all of your organizing of your site files within Dreamweaver. Do not do this through your desktop because the links between pages and files will not be updated as they will if you do this through Dreamweaver. So just to kind of make that a point, I'm going to actually create a new folder within the site, and I'm going to name it Images. And then I'm going to drag one of my images into that folder. So I'm going to drag asdesigns into that folder, and you see how it puts it in there. Now, it will automatically update if I have that image linked through a web page within the pages that I'm making, it will automatically update that to show that it's actually in the images folder and not just in the root folder. So make sure you do all of your organization through Dreamweaver after you define your site. Alright, so now that we have defined a site, we can start beginning to build our web pages. Again, defining our site is the first step you take in creating a new project within Dreamweaver. Thank you for listening to ASdesigns Tutorials. Find the entire series of Dreamweaver tutorials at www.as-designs.org/tutorials. Thank you.